Welcome to Film Riot. Today we're doing something a little bit different. You can see I have earphones on. That's because I need to hear what I'm doing, because we're going to take sort of a live look at my process for picking and editing music to a project. We have done similar things in the past, but I wanted to take more of a deep dive on how I really do come across that and the ideas that go about that sort of thing. So let's do that. And first, I'm going to jump right over to Artlist, which is where I'm often getting my music. And of course, we talked about Artlist on the show before, which in my opinion is just a dream for indie filmmakers. This is subscription based, so it's only $199 a year for all the music that they have on the site. So you get unlimited downloads of any song on here that you want for that $199 a year, which is insane because often you can be spending more than that on just one track at other places. So definitely check this out if you're a filmmaker, if you do events of any kind. There's so many great tracks on here with fantastic quality, but I have pre-selected a couple of songs here that I really dug. I'm not sure if they're going to fit with what we're doing. I'm pretty sure that they're going to fit in some sort of way, if not the way that I initially intended, but we'll get to that in a second. So I'm going to add all these to my cart. And now I'll check out with those, and those are going to be sent to my email. Now I could download those and bring them into my project. And once I've imported all of those, I'm just going to drag the first one and just bring it right into one of my sequences. And I have three sequences open here. First is the approach from our short film, Westworld to Yuma. Next is some drone shots that we did a while back. And then finally are some more drone shots that we did recently in a sort of middle of nowhere area for a project we have coming pretty soon. But with just this song thrown in, let's see what that feels like. And now for the sake of the point, let's just flip through a few tracks and see how different the same exact visuals feel with just a different music bed under them.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
And finally, so the exact same visuals, no change, but the music changes each time, which completely alters how that footage feels to me. And for me, the last one worked best with what I was looking at. And if I put that there, I think what I would do just by, listening to the music and looking at the visuals is flop what the visuals were doing. So we have a little bit of civilization here, and then that pulls us away from civilization and we get deeper into nothingness. But I would cut it maybe a little sooner. And that works really well for me for the vibe of what this is. And sometimes I don't have a definitive idea of what it is exactly that I'm trying to do with a piece of footage. So sometimes I will go and collect a few different types of tracks, varying in genre and feel, and then start putting them to that footage to see what will spark an idea, just like this did just now. We went through all of them and a couple of them worked, but this is the one that really resonated with me and then caused me to realize that the clips were out of order, that we needed to start with civilization and then move into nothingness. And a lot of times things like music will inspire you in that way to help you refine what your cut is and to help you even deeper find out what it is the story wants to be, or how to really refine and tell that story. I mean, you should know what your story is, of course, but sometimes, especially in documentary footage and things like that, you are always trying to refine and find what you're trying to do. And that is one of the aspects that could inspire you to help you really start chiseling away at that massive marble block and start making it something that makes sense. But let's move into something that's already pre-edited and throw the same types of tracks on there and see what we get. And that's not going to work right off the bat. So if we jump through the song here and we listen to different parts, you can hear that later on down the road, and you can see in the waveform that the song does get louder, so it's going to get bigger. So if we jump later on to where it does get a little bit bigger and grab that, which seems like it's going to work a lot better with the clip that we currently have here, I'll grab that and then I'll just move it in. And then again, we'll move on to another track, doing the same thing, just randomly grabbing a section that we see is a bit bigger. All my time is gone. So again, it's just fascinating to me how much even the slightest variation in the type of track that you're picking will completely alter the way that the piece that you're looking at feels. Some of these tracks are pretty similar in the tone that they're setting, but they're different enough to really cause that much of a radical feel in the piece to me. So it matters so much the type of music that you're putting to your film. I've said it a ton that sound is easily one of the most, if not the most important thing when it comes to finishing your film, because it's one of the things that really can most easily completely alter the feel and the intention even of your film and your scenes. So really dialing that in is incredibly important. So now let's take a look at our third example, which is our approach in Westworld to Yuma. There's this great mounting dread throughout the entire thing, and it has a very futuristic digital vibe to it, which does fit for the type of film that we had going on right there. But if we want something totally different, I'll go ahead and preview and find the section that makes most sense for me to drop it in at. It's definitely right there. I think the music should hit a little sooner, right when you see him right about there, probably. So let's find the hit right there, and we'll trim to there, and then I'd say the music should hit probably about right there when we recognize who this guy is. I'd say that's slightly different. I think I messed up. I think I missed the mark when we made this film. That is clearly how that scene should have been played. But let's try one more because I'm having fun. Not because it's educational, but because I like it. That's why. So let's go into hip hop. Let's see what we got over here. Let's make it gangster. And actually, just flicking through these brings up a really good point. Often what I will do is play the scene, since your Premiere will continue to play once you've played it, even if you click away from the software, and then start flicking through songs to see what works. So let's go ahead and try it that way instead of going through the same process. So what we'll do is we'll shrink down our screen right here. Go ahead and bring this back up. Play on this, then jump over here, and then start sampling these again. Let's try this one. If you're on my phone and won't leave me alone, I'm like Steve, I'm like Coke and Patron. I'm on that Coke and Patron. I mean, that's pretty solid. Okay. Oh, here we go. We can feel So that's something that I'm actually usually doing, and I think is a good tip. Instead of downloading tracks that you think might work, you go through and you let the scene play over and over again. You go through and you sample those tracks while watching your piece. And again, all these tracks are from Artlist, which are all very high quality, very cinematic tracks. Really one of the best places you can find music from. But now let's go back to the first example. So we have this song, but it doesn't fit our shot or our scene, whatever it is. And for instance, this shot is right around 15 seconds long. What we can do is bring this track into Adobe Audition. And then inside of Adobe Audition, we can create a new multi-track. Then inside of there, bring this song in, drop it into one of the tracks, then go to clip, and then remix, and then enable remix. Now, what that'll give you is these handles up here at the top right, and I can now drag this to the time frame that I want it to be, and then Adobe Audition will automatically edit this track to fit perfectly to that time. Of course, it's doing it the way it sees fit, so if there's a certain section of the song that you want specifically in there, that's not going to happen. So as you see, it trims it down, and we just have the soft section. Or we could drag it out a little bit more, and you can see where the edit parts are right here, and it's really seamless. We can go to any of these, and they're going to transition between those edits perfectly without any issue. So really what we're looking at here is the psychological effect and the methodology of picking certain types of tones to fit the scene you want and completely alter the scene you want. Sometimes you can have something that could either feel tranquil and nice and inviting, or very sinister, like this one right here if we play it with this song. To me, that feels pleasant, although it does have a sadness to it. But we can go ahead and switch that clip around to the one that we used before to this. And all of a sudden there is this sense of dread that it's bringing us toward based on what the visual it is. It's taking me toward whatever this horrible thing is because the music is telling me something is lurking ahead. So thinking that way about the clips that you use will help you tell your story visually and audibly 1,000 times better. But again, I use a couple of platforms to get my music. Artlist is easily one of my favorite. I really love their search functions. I did a whole episode that's sort of a review on this platform, which is a really excellent one, fantastic for indie filmmakers because for what you're getting, it is insanely low cost. I'm not 100% sure how they're able to do what they're able to do, but you can find that episode where I do a deep dive on this platform if you would like to know more about it in the notes below. And if you have a process for how you find your tracks or edit your music to your pieces, please post them in the notes below. I'd love to read them as well. I'm always looking to learn when it comes to this stuff. But hopefully you guys got something out of this. I'm just so fascinated by this side of things. I'm always toying around with it in this way to try different avenues to see what they'll do visually and again audibly. So hopefully you dug it. But that is it. I'll see you guys next time. Till then, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.